righty, welcome in and welcome back, everybody, to Sports Prophet TV. This is the MLS Live podcast. We're talking match week 11, Major League Soccer. Going to give out some betting picks just like we always do. Talk about last week, which, of course, was a fantastic week. We absolutely smashed two more two-unit plays. Of course, we will have another two-unit release on the show tonight, so make sure you stick around towards the end of the show. We're going to do our two-unit release as well. But, yeah, great week. Needed it. It was a big bounce-back week for us, and feeling pretty good, Garrett.
Absolutely. It was a good week, man. I can't complain at all. Pretty much however you laid the stuff we put out went down well. I did say Nashville was going to smash somebody soon. I didn't expect it to be that weekend as they hang a 7 spot on Chicago. Being at that game was the most fun I've ever had in the stadium. I'll just tell you that. Yeah, it was good. It was a good weekend for everyone involved.
Yeah, I bet being there was nuts. Was it 7-0 at one point?
Yes.
Jeez Louise.
Maybe like it's the first half it ends and it's 5-0. We're like, well, what are we supposed to do? Like people just like stopped knowing how to celebrate. It was so many. It was hilarious though because so these Chicago scores in the free kick, right? And like the stadium's just dead silent. It was a free kick. So like if you're on the sides, you weren't totally sure it went in yet because it hit like the top corner. So you're kind of waiting to see where the ball rolls to know if it went into the net or not. And of course, they're the away side. There's no cheering or anything. So the stadium's just quiet. And as soon as it goes in, I stand up in my seat and just yell, yes, because we needed the both teams to score, right? I had all the goals. We just needed both teams to score. And I started getting all of these weird looks from all these other Nashville fans.
Yeah, I can imagine. But funny. Hey, I mean, you got to hold it down for the MLS Live fam. So much respect to you for standing on business there and celebrating our two-unit winner in front of all the other Nashville fans. But I mean, to be fair, it made it 7-1, right? So it's if it made it, if it was a game-tying goal, or even if it made it 2-1, maybe not so much audible celebration, right? But I think that's acceptable. I think
I was convinced Chicago wasn't scoring. Like that team quit, and so like I just knew they weren't scoring. And that free kick that was kicked with anger. Like there was nothing but anger in that kick. And so, Nashville just kind of stopped playing and it went in. And it was a good free kick. Don't get me wrong, but very, very happy that the bet hit.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I can't remember if I mentioned it or not, but those two units are 6-0 on the year. So we'll look to keep that streak going. Before we get into it, make sure you guys I was going to say like the video, just retweet the video if you're watching, because we are now streaming on X. As always, I will re-upload the playback version to our YouTube channel, which is at Sports Prophet TV on YouTube, approaching 1,000 subscribers there, I think. So go subscribe to that YouTube channel as well. If you ever missed the video, it will be up there. So let's get into it, though. We've got some bets and some games to talk about, and we are starting in Columbus, hosting Charlotte.
Yep. So I'm getting a good price on the Crew here when you take their double chance plus the under 3.5, sitting around -125 on the domestic side right now. And so that's going to be the first play here. As the Crew have been bad. The Crew have lost only one game this season, and they've only had one game go over 3.5. Charlotte as well have only achieved this feat twice of a game going over 3.5. So the 3.5 feels like a safe total area to hang out at for this game, with two teams that just don't let a lot of goals in. We talked about it. Crew have only lost one game so far. That was against Miami, who, outside of tonight, I mean, Miami can still beat anyone on their night. They just were not up for this Vancouver team. But Charlotte's also only managed one road win in 4 attempts so far this season. Crew are the home team. So this price is just excellent, what I expect to be a low-scoring affair, but I can't rule out the draw here, right? So this play takes away a lot of the risk from this game, I think. and gives you a Crew side, which I definitely think the side you want to be on in some way. And then when you hang that total, like we discussed, I think it creates a very safe floor for this game. And so that first place I'm seeing it with Crew double chance plus under 3.5. That means Crew win or tie the game, and the total stays under 3.5 for the game.
Yeah, I mean, I like this. Charlotte's always, I mean, they're kind of naturally a defensive team already. The way that team's built, I know they added Zaha and Abada last year towards the end of the year to try to bolster the attack, but they're still really a defensive team, and even more so on the road, right? So I don't really necessarily see that changing for this one. If anything, there will be some added respect playing at Columbus, who is, sits atop the league right now when you look at the standings. So I think we got a good feel for kind of tactically what to expect here. I like pairing this with an under because I don't really think Charlotte necessarily scores, and I think if it's 2-0 Columbus, we've already seen a couple of times this year, they just kind of put it on cruise control. Now, I don't know if that's, a mentality change from Coach Nancy, that he's like, hey, long season, let's let's focus on not getting burnt out. We don't want to peak too early. I don't know exactly what it is, because the only difference is really the loss of Cucho there, roster wise, which is obviously it's a big change, right? But there has seemed to be a tangible change tactically, at least when they're up. They kind of they play kick the can a little bit more than we were used to seeing last year. So
I think, to your point, I think they've always played a little kick the can. Like they possess more than just about any team in the league routinely, year in and year out, since Nancy took over. I mean, possession is what they're all about.
yeah,
And I think you saw against the Miami game where they lost 1-0. What they missed most in that game was a clinical finisher. They had plenty of opportunities, just never found the net. I think when they on these games where they've been 2-0, I think that speaks a lot because of finishing. They probably could have had more,
yeah,
but the finishing just is not there this season, um, which might lead to more of a little bit of a shift, like you're talking about. Once they're up, like they already know they're in control, but don't concede and let a team back in. That whole, 2 goals is like the worst lead in soccer mentality. Don't
right,
let the team back in, because it could be difficult for us to close that door again once it opens back up, right? And they're just too disciplined for that, I think. And so, yeah, with 2 good defenses, I don't want them, like, it's -140, -145 money line for Columbus. I don't want that. I think the most likely outcome is a 1-0, 2-0 win here for Columbus.
yeah,
But I don't want to eat that juice, right? Like at -140. I don't Charlotte could contribute, but they're not getting more than one, I think. So that does leave a 1-1 possibility open. And I mean, a nil-nil is always there too. Like, that's not out of the question. Like I said, this double chance just really takes a lot of the risk away, when I think the under 3.5 is already a decent spot. Like, this total is sitting at 2.75 right now. So the under 3.5 gives you a really, really nice floor, and the double chance removes a lot of the risk here.
yeah. Love the double chance. I mean, if you end up with a 1-1, you still cash a ticket. So that's always nice to have in your back pocket. All righty, let's keep on scooting. Going to Chicago, hosting Orlando City. You got to see these guys up close in person. Obviously, we talked about that to start the show. All right, so the only loss of the show last week was my Chicago double chance, and it wasn't even close, right? So the good news about losing bets in sports betting is you don't lose extra bets for losing by multiple goals. So it counts the same as everything else, and you flush it and you move on. I'm going back to Chicago. I learned my lesson on the actually betting aside here. I'm not necessarily betting aside completely. I am going to take their team total because I don't think it should be plus money. And I think the Chicago attack is really, really, really legit. I think they're a top 5 attack in Major League Soccer. Allowing 7 goals last week doesn't change my opinion on that. And if this is going to be at plus money at home, I'm pretty much going to take it almost against anybody. So I think, and Orlando, they haven't really impressed me defensively, right? They've really played a lot of open games. They've been a little more conservative on the road, but most teams are. But plus money on Chicago team total, I expect them to come out and obviously have somewhat of a point to prove after 7-2 loss on the road. I think they'll be very happy to be back at their friendly confines at home. And again, plus money with this attack. Team total over 1.5. I got to take it.
Yeah, with the being plus money, I don't hate it. We talked about team total over 1.5 even when they were on the road last week at that nice plus money number, and it still got there even in a 7-goal beatdown. You're getting this number though because Orlando's kept 4 clean sheets in a row, and before that, the defense was pretty leaky though. It's not Orlando's defense isn't terrible. They're middle of the pack, right? In terms of expected goals allowed. But man, that Chicago attack is good.
They're good.
Chicago attack is real good. Like it's just that wasn't the problem last week for Chicago. That defense was atrocious. I mean, the easiest goals I've ever seen in MLS, where you're just balls over the top and dudes are just getting beat. Like it's not even close. So yeah, I like the Chicago attack at plus money. It's hard not to like this. I've got looks here as well later in the show. So yeah, can't knock the team total here at plus money. That's a good price.
Yep. I mean, that's one of those that might be an autoplay for me if that's at plus money as the season goes. So lock that one in now. Be surprised if this whole total didn't move up, and if this one is still plus money when these two teams kick off, I'll be surprised. So, all righty, DC United hosting the Rapids.
All right, it's another rare side play for me where I'm actually picking a side here instead of looking at goals in some facet. And this is the fade DC show right now. And so the Rapids are traveling to DC to face DC United. DC is struggling mightily, losing 6 of their last 7 games. They are tied with Chicago for worst defense considering goals when you consider goals conceded. And it took Nashville hanging 7 on the fire last week to catch up to DC. The Rapids look decent through 10 games with a 4-4-2 record, so only 2 losses. And they've been very good on the road with only 1 loss in 5 trips. DC United are actually a decent fave here. And I just find that incredibly interesting and couldn't disagree more with the line. But it's made the double chance very playable. And so that's where I'm staking my money to be a little safer. For this game in particular, because of where the lines are right now, I'll also be looking at Navarro and Mihalovic props, as they should be decent prices. And those guys are the funnels for this team. I always like finding those funnels. And when I can strike them with good prices plus bad defenses, we're getting all of that here. But yeah, it's just a straight DC United fade with no update on Benteke's availability. So I'm still waiting to see if there's anything that comes out later this week about that. It is pretty quiet on the DC United front in terms of Benteke. So if you were to play this weekend, I wouldn't be shocked. But again, like I said, when the injury happened and then they recalled Fletcher from Nottingham Forest's academy, that says to me longer-term injury. So if Benteke isn't in the lineup for this weekend, then only better for this bet.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, this team is already a fade. We talked about it last week. No Benteke is an automatic fade against almost anybody in Major League Soccer. I mean, he is the team completely at this point. So I'm with you. This is not a case of like me being necessarily like crazy high on the Rapids either. No Benteke for DC, and this double chance is playable. Colorado's better. I mean, you could almost say significantly better than DC if Benteke is not available, and you're getting their double chance here. So I absolutely see where you're coming from, and I'm with you. I think this is a smart angle on this one. Even though I'm not a huge fan of Colorado, but man, I mean, I really can't even reiterate it enough about no Benteke. We there's fade. I mean, I probably fade them against a USL side if Benteke doesn't play. To be honest,
And full transparency, like the the money's moved DC United's line about 40 cents in DC United's favor. I think they opened up at like plus 130, plus 135, and they're sitting right now around even money to minus 105. So like the
really,
money, the early money is coming on DC United. So like I just say that to let you know I know what I'm getting into, right? These aren't just willy-nilly picks. I vehemently disagree with this line. You've made double chance playable for me against a solid Rapids team that can travel. So that's where I'm staking my claim.
that's a wild move. To be honest, I mean,
It made me think Benteke was available, like when I
right.
first looked at the line movement, but then everywhere I've looked, I can't get any updates on if he's even back at training, what's going on with him. The, I will say, like last week, the coach said that there's a chance he might make it. I think that was coach speak. I don't think there was ever a world where Benteke was playing last weekend. I do think it's more probable than last weekend that he could be in this weekend, if you catch what I'm saying. But if you're asking me right now, I don't expect him in. I'm telling you, recalling a dude who's getting play time on loan is not a small move.
No doubt. Alrighty, I like it, and we will keep it moving. I'm moving to a combo play here. This will be mine. Looking at LAFC. The first game of this one is LAFC hosting the Dynamo Houston, and I'm going to use the under 3.5 in the first leg of this 2-leg parlay. Look, LAFC. They're a solid team right now, but they're not the same LAFC, and they're definitely not the same LAFC when it comes to creating chances and scoring goals this year. Giroud has been a flop. We've talked about that here and there on the show. In fact, Ordaz, the kid from El Salvador, has actually played more striker this year than Giroud has. So, there are some issues with the attack. It's been disjointed at times. It's been very reliant on the Boanga speed, just burn people and knock one in at 110 miles an hour. And then Houston, they're very defensive. These two teams played in Houston a couple of games ago, and there was like 1.1 xG combined or something. It was around that number. It was very low. I don't have it in front of me, but I remember looking at it after the game ended. It was less than 1.5 total expected goals for sure. And I think we get more of the same here. So Houston should be ultra conservative on the road. Houston really can't. They're very toothless in attack right now themselves. And I think LAFC 1-0, 2-0 is very, very realistic here. And Houston, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see this game scoreless at halftime even. I think that's Houston's game plan from start to finish in this one. So low scoring win for LAFC likely. And then, dude, God forbid Houston score in this one before LAFC does, because I think they really put the clamps on then. And then I think they're, going tooth and nail for a 1-1 at that point. So like the under in this game. I'm going to use the under 3.5 alternate total as my first leg of this parlay. And then I'm going to go to Seattle hosting St. Louis City, who has just been pretty bad. They've been one of the worst teams in the league, statistically, analytically, however way you want to slice it. St. Louis City has been pretty bad. Seattle getting healthier. Jordan Morris, Pedro De La Vega, they are both should be ready to go and start for this one. De La Vega started a couple of games. Jordan Morris played, I think, a full half. I think he played the entire second half last time out. So you get guys like that back. It's good. I just don't see really a game plan or any kind of approach that gives St. Louis City a great chance against Seattle here. I think Seattle at home, they've got the better coach. I think St. Louis really messed up firing their coach last season. I think that was a big. I think that was a big mistake. I think he was a much better coach than the guy they've got now. So I think Seattle's got the coaching advantage. I think they've got the personnel advantage. They're going to be healthy. I really like Seattle to take care of business. One of my favorite parlay legs of the week. It's not flashy. It's not sexy. Seattle rarely is either of those things, right? But I think they get the job done at home, and I'm putting them together. Plus money, plus 117. Lock it in.
Yeah, I'll just touch. You've covered a lot of it here. Houston's a bottom four attack in the league. So the under there feels very good. It's very hard to just imagine LAFC exploding on anyone and scoring 3 or 4 goals. Houston's attack has no speed. You can't even say it's one dimensional because there's just nothing to it. Like they can't do anything. Um, so yeah, LAFC is in a good spot. I definitely agree with the under there. And then Seattle. Few teams have a better home field advantage than Seattle does. St. Louis, even though they've shown a little bit of life over the last 2 games, getting draws instead of like 3 or 4 losses in a row they've had, I do think they have an immense coaching problem. There's no way this team was as good as it was last year. And granted, they didn't make the playoffs, but like they looked good on the field at times. Like they had their moments, especially later in the season.
Yep.
And then you swap the coaches out, and it just doesn't work. And then meanwhile, you look at Philly, who now has St. Louis's own coach. Philly's doing Philly things, right? Like that's just what they do. I don't think it was a coaching issue last season so much, as much as it definitely is a coaching issue now. So now they did play earlier this season when at St. Louis. St. Louis beat them 1-0. That was with a very banged up Seattle team. They didn't have a lot of the regulars in there. So I do like Seattle to answer that loss, I guess, as I'll say, from earlier in the season. And so, yeah, I think their money lines about minus 180, somewhere around there.
Yep.
Obviously, that's parlay range for us. We're not eating that kind of juice, but I do think it's a good parlay leg. It's not my favorite parlay leg of the week, but I do think it is a solid parlay leg to match a good under with LAFC. I like this play a lot.
Fantastic. Love it. All righty, folks. We are approaching our 7th 2-unit release of the season. We are about to do that right here live on X. We're also approaching 400 live viewers. So if you wouldn't mind retweeting this tweet, the video, the live stream is embedded in the tweet. So just give us a retweet. Give us a comment while you're at it. I'll try to read them if anybody's got questions in the comments. Just reply to the tweet and I'll read them once we get to the end of the show. But please retweet the live stream, and then we are getting into the 2-unit wager right now. Quakes hosting Portland.
This might seem obvious just with how we've done on the show. It's going to be the over 3 here. The over 3 is playable. I think it's like minus 137 right now domestically. Was one of the best lines I found. So it's going to be 2 units, and honestly, Sunday night I was like, this is a 3-unit. Like I'm smashing this matchup. Sunday night I was all about it, but this is why you have to do homework. Why you have to like look over the stuff. You got to remove the emotion, the biases out of it, and really dive into these teams. And so again, we've covered San Jose quite a bit on this show. Attack is fantastic, defense is terrible, and neither seem to be changing anytime soon. We've said this is an overs team. It is. In fact, Portland's defense has the 7th worst, expected goals allowed numbers. So it's a very attackable defense. That's great. Now, where this all changed for me from being just a smash spot, 3-unit max play for me, blah, 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 was this Portland attack, right? Now, I understand J-Rod's getting healthier.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised if he started this week. If not, I would expect him to get another 45 minutes at halftime. They didn't have to play him last week against the Galaxy when that game was already under control. So I'm not surprised he only got like 18 or 19 minutes. They didn't have to play him. They didn't need him. So yeah, rest him if you don't have to use him.
Right.
But he's played 3 matches now coming off the bench. I think he's starting to get more game fit. So if he started this week, great. Portland's attack though. Is overperforming at an incredible rate. which is why I shrunk this back down to just a 2-unit play. Do I love this play? Absolutely. But I've got to be smart here. We've got to manage it wisely.
Yep.
Portland scored just as many goals as San Jose this season, which is 20. But their expected goals is only at 13 through 10 games. So it actually makes me a little nervous if they were playing anyone with an actual defense. Like I probably would not be on a Portland total this weekend if they were playing a top half defense, because regression is coming for this team in the terms of attack. Like it's going to happen. Just like how I told you about Nashville's going to pop off from somebody soon. The numbers said that it was building. We are building for a Portland dud here at some point. However, against San Jose's defense, it's very hard to see that happening here. I think with this game, all I really need is San Jose is Portland to score 1. For this to go over the 3. There are worlds where San Jose carries this 3-0 and it pushes just fine. But I do think I need Portland to contribute here to get the full cash. So that's why we've reined it back in a little bit. However, we talked about it. San Jose's defense, Portland staying on the West Coast, MLS after dark. Like all these factors are weighing in here as well, to where I do believe we get over the 3 here. This game, based on how these two teams have performed on the field, screams goals. But when you dive deeper, like I said, Portland's attack is a little concerning. So I've toned it back just a little bit. But I'm willing to eat that juice at -137 for 2 units.
Yeah, I love this play. I think both of these teams actually, you're right about Portland, right? I understand it. I get the numbers. I know that they are due for some negative goal regression technically, but they're also in a flow state right now. And DaCosta looks more kind of in unison with that attack than I've seen him look the entire season. I think he's growing with that group. Young Mr. Kelsey is absolutely putting him in the back of the net right now. I mean, it just looks good. And then you got J-Rod coming back. So I do think Portland contributes. I'm pretty confident about that. And then San Jose at home. I mean, what did they just give up 5 to Kansas City, one of the worst teams? I mean, dude, Kansas City can't score on anybody. So San Jose at home, I think we get open play. I think we get tons of chances. I'm with you. I really like this one a lot. I know you're expecting Portland to score. I might be a little bit more confident that Portland contributes here, but I think this is one of those that is a push worst case scenario, kind of like you said, right?
Yeah, I think so. There's definitely worlds where this can get home in multiple ways, right? Because of how these two teams act. J-Rod being back, especially if his start is just big, right? He's played 85 minutes total this season, already has 2 goal contributions. That's the kind of numbers we like to see him churning out. So if he, like I said, if he starts, love this even more. But I expect to see him at least for 45 minutes. But yeah, this is a solid play. One of my favorite looks of the season. Just had to be a little smart, so took a percentage or unit off, and so we're just doing 2 here. But the 2s have been really good this season, so we're hoping they continue to flow.
Absolutely. All right, one more to round it up. We go to the last play, which is going to be a combo play, and this one is yours as well.
Another parlay, just 2 solid trends here that I'm backing that I've monitored most of the season. We played them last weekend. It went fine. We're going to play them again this weekend. We're just putting them together. It's going to be Dallas, the +1.5 spread. So it's an alternate spread. I think they are a double chance right now. They're +0.5. So I'm adding a goal. Dallas +1.5 alternate spread as they are traveling to San Diego, plus Chicago Fire, both teams to score as they host Orlando. Dallas is a perfect 6-0 against the spread on the road this season. That's why that was one reason why I attacked them last season against Miami, and what turned out to be just a bonkers thriller of a game, 4-3, like very entertaining. And San Diego's defense is very poor. I think we said like early in the season, either preseason or the first week, like I want to attack San Diego's defense. San Diego's attack is going to be great. Their defense is going to be terrible. That terrible defense has finally shown up, even though it took a while to get here, as they've conceded 9 goals in their last 3 games. It's just awful. So I want to keep attacking San Diego's defense. when I'm able to get that big of a spread with a solid Dallas team, and I say solid just because they're not going to get blown out. You're never blowing out this Dallas team. They're going to sit on it. And then we saw last year, last week, Miami scored 3. It was 3-1 at one point. Dallas roared back, got back in the game. Plus 1.5 feels very good here for a Dallas spread. And then we're going to add Chicago both teams to score. This is a trend I've talked about multiple times on the show. We're just going to keep it rolling here. That is hitting at 90% this season. Chicago concede and they score. That is what they do. Yet Kuipers, who's chasing a golden boot, and Orlando Tack finally woke up last week after being blanked for 3 matches in a row. So yeah, both teams to score I like a lot, and you end up getting this at plus 120. It's just, this is a good price for 2 really backable trends at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Dallas, man. I was convinced, and look, I still don't think they're world beaters, right? But I was convinced that they were like bottom 5 teams of Major League Soccer, and they have got a little bit of something going, a little bit of mojo, little bit of vibe going right now. And they did it last week without Musa, which was even more impressive, right? So I do think they're feeling themselves. They're kind of figuring it out together, and I think they match up well to score some goals actually against San Diego on the road. And
in the last 2 games without Musa, they've drawn Minnesota United and beaten Miami.
Wow.
I mean, that's you can't ask for pretty much better resume right now. Those are two very solid teams.
Very legit teams. And then and then to finish it off here, we talked about this game earlier with the Chicago team total. Look, we're going to continue to target the Chicago defense, and they're scoring at home. So pretty cut and dry. I'm with you there. I think both teams score. I like the plus money. We gave out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plays, 3 of which were plus money, and one, of course, was that 2 unit. Looking to make that 7-0 on 2 units this year. That's pretty much it, though. Unless you got anything else, Garrett.
No, I'm monitoring some other spots. There will definitely be some additions to this slate from me. So just make sure you're following us on X to get those plays for free. It doesn't take anything. I'm going to post them there anyway, so you might as well, see them, tell them, fade them, whatever you want to do. Ain't going to hurt my feelings. But there will definitely be some more additions coming. There's some other spots that I like a lot that just, I had to wait for these midweek games like Vancouver hosting RSL. I just wanted to see what Vancouver is going to do tonight. Like how much energy do they need to expend? Atlanta, Nashville is always a good time. That's always a good matchup. So it's one I'm watching as well, especially after Nashville's attack really just took off.
Let me ask you,
there'll be other spots.
Let me ask you about that game actually, because I actually had a note written down. Because this is what it seems like to me, right? From a betting perspective, Atlanta and Nashville, right? Atlanta is so much underperforming, considering their roster talent. I know that they've got a real issue in the midfield, and that's, part of the issue. Is there any positive regression coming? And then Nashville just scored 7 goals. So like when I looked at it, I was like, Nashville double chance is a gift because Atlanta is actually just bad. Like they suck. They're just bad right now. It doesn't matter who their players are. They are not playing like a good team. Like
I think the best tweet I saw was Atlanta United is worse than Sporting KC right now.
Insanity.
And I can't argue against it. Like it's very hard to. I'm checking one thing out real quick where as far as Atlanta's going to score goals. They have to figure it out. The midfield is an issue, like you touched on. The defense is an issue. The only thing and right now the attack is an issue, more so because Miranchuk and Almiron still can't get on the same page. because they play similar roles and it's hurting the team. Like, so this is still a team where if Latte Loth is in, that's where I'm banking my money. I'm putting something on his props, right? He's going to get his chances. He's going to hunt goals. That's what they paid him to do. That's what he's doing when he's in. He was suspended last week, so he's going to be a little fresher this week, which I like as well. I'm always going to attack Nashville's defense when Zimmerman's not in. Still no update on him training or something. So as far as I know, he's still in the concussion protocol. So as of this moment, I have to say he'll miss this weekend. We'll see. But Nashville's attack is very good. It just is. And it absolutely can hurt Atlanta.
I mean, I was seeing Nashville
Where
double chance like around the -130 number offshore. So
no, Nashville is plus 225 right now. Just one book I'm looking at. Okay. So like
yeah,
Atlanta's a solid fave at plus 110. My gut instantly went to the over 3. But if you're worried, like, do Atlanta score? How does that look? Nashville's team total, let me go back to Atlanta. Atlanta's given up 3 goals in back-to-back games. Both of those were on the road, however. At home, they gave up 3 to NYC. They gave up 3 to Miami. They gave up 2 to Miami. I mean, dang, they gave up 2 to Montreal to start the season, like at home. There have been multiple games where Atlanta's given up 2 or more goals at home. And you can get Nashville team total over 1.5 at like plus 140 roughly. So like that is where my brain initially went to, because when you talk about Nashville regression, like some of that 7 goals they scored last week was catching up to the mean. Like that's why I
for
said
sure.
they're going to explode. Like the
Yeah.
numbers said these numbers are going to correlate here very soon, and Nashville's going to just blow up on somebody. And they did. So it's just, I think Atlanta scoring more goals versus Nashville scoring less goals is more likely, if you get what I'm saying. Like Atlanta hasn't scored in 360 minutes, I think. Like
Yeah.
literally have not scored in 360 minutes of game time. Like that's wild. Much more likely they find the score sheet or they put up 2 as opposed to Nashville getting blanked here, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm with you. By the way, Montreal scored 2 goals on Atlanta to open the season in Atlanta, and they have scored 2 goals since. So, Montreal, man.
Nashville is sitting second in expected goals at 20.4. They've only scored 19. So no, I don't expect any regression from Nashville. Those numbers are lining up now where you would expect them to be within a goal or 2 of each other, as opposed to the larger gap we had going into last weekend.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. There are some rosters in Major League Soccer and some, more specifically, some attacks that are really expensive and really talented that are just not performing. And I don't know if it comes down to coaching, if it comes down to a midfield issue. I mean, I know for Austin it is, I know for Atlanta it is, but those 2 come to mind, right?
I've always said goals are created in the midfield. That's where it starts, right? Like you have to have somebody to progress the ball. Nashville and Atlanta are a perfect contrast in this right now, where Nashville totally overturned their midfield in the offseason, brought in young, solid playmakers. And that has completely changed them from a bunker down, counterattacking defense
Yeah.
to we're just going to shove the ball down your throat attack. Atlanta doesn't have that progression in midfield, so they're struggling to create goals, and that's why they are failing so bad right now. That's ultimately going to come down to a coaching change, I feel like, in Atlanta, because if you haven't figured out the midfield yet with that roster, there's a bigger issue, right? And so, yes, I like for that game right now. My first lean is national team total. My second lean would be the over 3 because I do think Atlanta could score here. But yeah, that's always a fun matchup.
Yeah, it's one of those Major League Soccer rivalries that is typically fun.
Revolution double chance was circled early in the week for me. It's now moved past my juice range. It was playable like Sunday night, Monday morning, but it's moved away. But I like the Revolution traveling to Toronto. Toronto doesn't scare me at all, and the Revolution are playing actually very solid soccer at the moment.
They are. I think that's a sharp play. And it gives me vibes that that's going to be one of New England is one of those teams that I kind of wish I had seen it coming a little bit more, that they were playing better as a team than I expected them to, and I wish that I had made some money on the run. And now I'm nervous that I've missed the window, right? So, but
I would
I
be
like
too if they weren't playing Toronto.
I know. Yeah. Horrible. But anyways, folks, we really appreciate everybody that tuned in. Really enjoyed it as always. It's been fun doing the live stream on X. But again, I will, of course, re-upload the playback version on the YouTube channel, and follow us on Twitter too at MLSLIVE Podcast. 6 plays, hopefully 6 winners, including the 2 unit. Anything, Garrett?
No, I am just looking ahead a little bit next week. There could be a massive play the following weekend if things go a certain way this weekend. So just a heads up.
I love it. Love the
But anyways,
teaser.
thank you so much for the support, guys. Absolutely appreciate it as always. And best of luck to whatever you're on this weekend.
We'll see you guys next week. Let's kill it, guys.